The Arc of Southeast Iowa is an agency dedicated to serving children and adults with developmental and cognitive disabilities and their families. We are celebrating our 52nd anniversary this year. Prior to the 1950s, there was virtually nothing in existence to serve the disability population. As a matter of fact, if one would have a child and that child was born with a disability, at the time, doctors and medical professionals would literally encourage the parent that for the good of this child and for good of the family, this child should be placed in an institution. Well, there were a number of parents and community leaders thinking, well, wait a minute, we'd like this child to stay at home. We'd like to keep families together, keep children and families together in the community. And this is the formation of the ARC. The ARCs started out as and still very much are a parent-driven organization, a family-driven organization. I think one of the things that is unique about the ARC, we serve the individual. We serve the child, the individual with the disability, but we also have services for the entire family. The entire family is included with the array of programs and services provided by the ARC of Southeast Iowa. So in the early days, back in the 50s, people got together, and there were a number of early pioneers, Dottie Ray, Jude West, Ruth and Sam Becker, Betsy Rice, Darrell Flynn, Margaret Felling, just to name a few of the pioneers that really made what we do today possible. You know, we are actually standing on the shoulders of giants, and we have a lot to be thankful for there. So as we're into our 52nd year, we see that we've accomplished a lot, but there is a lot of work yet to be done. Just as recently as this past November, advocacy is also a big part of what we do at the ARC, services and programs, but also advocacy. And in that advocacy role, of course there were many, but one of the things that we worked hard on was the removal of the word idiot from the Iowa Constitution. Just on this past November's ballot, there was what they called the Idiot Amendment. And this was to remove that, what we think, hateful language. I know I talked to one reporter who said, well, Bill, isn't this just taking political correctness to the extreme? And you know, if you look in the dictionary under idiot, it says foolish or offensive person. And there's nothing inherent about a person with a disability that makes him or her either foolish or offensive. In fact, if you know people with disabilities like we do, just the opposite is true in almost every case. So we feel very good about that. Also, if you can use a term like idiot, it kind of devalues the person. If you're talking to Bill, that puts a certain thought in your mind. If you say, well, Bill's an idiot, that also puts certain thoughts in how I might be treated and that kind of thing. So to some, it may have seemed like political correctness, but to us, it seemed like something that was very important, and we're thrilled that the voters supported that, and we no longer have that offensive language in the Iowa Constitution. It's hard for us to believe now, but back in the 50s, the state homes were referred to as homes for idiots, imbeciles, and mongoloids. And these were terms used by professionals, medical professionals at the time. So you can see how we've come such a long ways, but we still have a way to go yet. Getting back to advocacy for a minute, there's a couple of things that all of us can do. Sometimes we think, well, gee, I'm just one person, you know, what can I do to help? Getting back to language for a minute, we were very successful with the Idiot Amendment. And again, we were just one of many people that worked, and many organizations that worked hard to see that through. But the other is, sometimes in our community, we've seen the derogatory use of the word retard or retarded. Oftentimes, this is among kids, maybe junior high, high school kids, sometimes older folks. And you'll hear say, well, that's retarded, or you're retarded, or something like that. And we would encourage everyone that, you know, most people have a fairly extensive vocabulary and use of adjectives and so forth, and maybe just politely or gently ask that person, you know, could you think of some other description? Could you, mind not using that? Because that can be hurtful. Whenever I talk to groups and in groups of people, I'll ask a question, does anyone here have a friend, a relative, neighbor, coworker, know of someone with a disability? I've never been in a group yet where a hand hasn't gone up. Just about everyone knows someone or has a loved one or someone close to them with a disability, or may even have a disability themselves. And so the disability population it's not a special interest group. It's not some subcategory. I mean, this involves our entire community. That's why we think inclusion is so important. That's why we believe independence is so important. And that's why we believe serving the entire family is of such critical importance to the success of our entire community, and anything that we can do to break down barriers and anything that causes isolation, the better. It strengthens the children with disabilities, it strengthens their families, and it makes our entire community stronger. And those are some of the real hallmarks of the ARC of Southeast Iowa. One of the things that is so neat and so wonderful and unique about the ARC of Southeast Iowa is the fact that we are able to offer services for the entire family. Some of the disabilities that clients have may be Down syndrome, mental retardation, brain injury, cerebral palsy, any cognitive or developmental disability. We work with a number of children, for example, that have multiple disabilities. And one of the largest programs that we provide is respite care. And I just can't talk about the number of parents who have told us if we're not for the ARC, they virtually wouldn't be able to keep the child in the home. Some children have, and adults for that matter, have disabilities and they have medical conditions that just require 24-hour a day care. This way, with the services the ARC provides, the family is able to go about their usual routine. They can do all the normal things that a family does, and yet that child can still remain in the home. The Iowa City Press-Citizen recently featured one of the ARC families, the Kuntz family. And the star of that was Sammy Kuntz, one of our children. Sammy's 10 and a half. When Sammy was born, his parents were told he probably wouldn't live to see his first birthday. Of course, that was 10 and a half years ago. Dad refers to Sammy as their brave little soldier. He says almost once a month, Sammy becomes quite ill, he goes to the hospital, and they all wonder, will this be it? But yet, he comes home again. His mother, Jackie, talks about how she feels that the staff from the ARC were just heaven sent. And she knows that the work that they do isn't always that glamorous, with the high level of personal care that's sometimes involved. But really, the ARC becomes part of the family. The ARC, being a very much family-driven organization, also is very much part of the family. We talk about ourselves as family. We talk about the children, the families that we serve, as all part of that larger ARC family. Sammy also has an older brother, Jonah, who's 14. And when Jonah comes into the room, Sammy just lights up. Jonah is Sammy's hero. And one of the things that both mom and dad had mentioned, that not once, never has Jonah ever complained about him not being able to go somewhere or do something because of Sammy's medical condition. He's been always right there as that hero big brother, and that's what it's all about. One of